Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week it's another Men in Sheds day. I'll see you in a minute. Today's Thursday. I'm off to go and look at some benches which I did know about, and I've ordered the timber for a long while back, but I've never seen in the flesh or met the lady because somebody else was taking the lead on that one, and I'm now picking up and running with it now we've got the material. At the moment, as I say, we're off to Bromsgrove to have a look at some benches. The lady's husband made them or spruced them up some years ago, and she wanted to make sure they were done very much in the style that he had done them in the first place. They've been done in oak, and she again insisted that they were done in oak, and that is probably not ideal also, particularly with sort of fittings that are going to have to be generally some sort of steel perhaps, and that doesn't always work very well with oak. It doesn't get on and tends to stain and blacken it. And being benches, they've got to be preservative treated in some way, shape or form. I'm looking probably at doing an oil finish on these. So we'll go up and have a look at them, see what we can do. It's really only a sort of fact-finding run at the moment, but if I can, I may be able to lift one up, and if I can, I'll put it in the car and bring it away and work on. If not, I've got a few tools to see if I can do anything with it, but again, if not, I will come back another day. But we'll go and have a look and see what they look like. Right, well that was very quick and easy. We've got the table in the back. We've got one of the chairs cut down with a chainsaw, the benches, so we can go back to the shed and start and have a look and see what we've got. Okay, so I'm going to make a start on the table, I think, because that's the easy way into this, I think. So we'll just get all the slats off it, the old ones, and see what we've got left at the end of it. I'll need to round over all the edges, and I can do that on the router table here. Well, these actually look almost like bronze. Can't really tell, but yeah, these are actually like a bronze. Or maybe even clean these up and use them in that case, because they're not then going to cause any reaction. So yeah, maybe we'll just spin those in the drill. It certainly will solve the problem for this, and then all I need to do is just dig like here, countersunk hole, just to drop it below the surface, and put them in that way after we've treated the timber. So I'm going to do it with Osmo, I think, poly the UV preventative Osmo oil on that once they've been rounded over and sanded, and I think that's probably the next thing to do. Get these slats all nicely tidied up, cleaned up, drilled, then we can get all the Osmo on them and then start and put it back together. It's a fairly simple job. I don't have to do anything to this. She doesn't want it changed, and I don't see any point in painting it when there is a degree of, however crap it may be, it does look of age. So now I've got to just take the edges off, the corners off the table laths, and I'll have to do it on the seat slats as well later. I'll do that in the router table, but it's very difficult to take the ends off in the router table without it flicking and causing problems. You can put a sacrificial piece alongside, but I'm actually finding it just as quick to get the little block plane and just work across it a couple of strokes, and that just takes the edge off. All the way around. So I've got to do that, and then I've got to drill it for the bolts, and the bolt has to be about 20 millimeters in and 35 mil in from either side, because it's a 70 mil piece of timber. It just takes the edges off there, stop it catching or anything. Now to do that, I've tried a test piece and just drilled a hole in that in roughly the right place. I'm putting in a small relieved section with a force and a bit, and I can sort that out with the depth stop on the drilling machine. It wasn't quite as easy to get the second hole in exactly the same place for doing that, and I need to really make sure I hold the piece in the drilling machine in some way, shape or form. So I've just made a little jig up out of scraps of plywood, which is 70 mil wide. It doesn't matter how deep it is, it just houses the end of the thing. And before I stuck the lid on, I marked 20 mil from the back face and 35 mil in from either side, so that now when I put that in there and drill through there, it will come out right the way through. I can then clamp this in the drilling machine, and that will be there all the while, and we just take out and swap all the various pieces in one at a time, and know that the drilling machine will be drilling the same place all the while. So that's got the that little jig has got all of the holes drilled in all the right places, and now I can just drop those little bolts in. They sink just below the surface and will bolt up underneath. Just got to clean the actual bolts up a bit, but I'm not going to spend too much time because they are like a coppery bronze finish on them. So all that needs to be done now with that is to have those sanded up. Okay, so it's time to put some finish on the slats for the table, garden table. I've got some Osmo UV protection oil, which I understand is the bee's knees. It's got ultraviolet protection in it, 2 coats of that should do the job. Needs a good stir. For once I've actually read the instructions, because it's a material that has cost, it's over £20 a tin, so it's certainly not cheap, but as I say, I understand it's the thing to keep the things preserved, and that it goes a long way. What I'm going to do is just put a couple of coats on, and then once that's done we can put it all together. I just think there's something satisfying about putting clear varnish or stain or lacquer or whatever onto freshly sanded timber. Kind of brings it all together and makes it all worthwhile. Okay, so I'm just giving it a very quick rub with 500 grit, I think, for a second coat, just to take any nibs off, and then we'll get another coat on. Second coat, and hopefully final. So we're finally ready to put the table together now. I've got the slats that I've just again run 500 grit across, just to tidy up the finish a little bit. Now I've decided to work with what I think are bronze screws on the table, and all I'm going to do is just tidy them up in the drill. Don't over polish them or anything, I just get all the grime off them, and I think that will do us. It just gives a nice coppery sort of finish, which will work well with the oak, I think. So all I'm going to do now is just pop the bolts back in. I've given them a bit of a clean up, and then we'll just pop them in. Washer on the back, not on the back of that, and we can put the whole thing together. Right, well, that's got the first part of the oak garden furniture sort of stuff out of the way. I've got the table done. Done that deliberately so the lady can see and check out that the finish is what she wants, without it getting me in too deep, having got benches done and have to get them all cleaned off and redone or anything for any reason. I don't think so, but just let us see what we've got, and we can then move on and do the benches. So that will hopefully be the next video we do on these, just literally bolting up the benches. I've got to prepare the timber in pretty much the same way, but there's a few quirks in that that'll be slightly different, I'm sure. I've got to solve the problem of rusting bolts, which I haven't had with this because I've got the bronze ones, but we'll see how we get on with that next time. Hope this was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be doing something different in the shed. I'll see you then. Bye.